Hello and welcome to another The Church at Hiraeth. I've been on my footballing travels this week to Hungary, and as we flew from Budapest it was night time, and I love having a window seat because I enjoy looking out the window, especially when it's dark and I could see all the lights of the city. And when you're so high in the sky you have the big picture view. When you're down there on the ground, all you can see is a few yards either side and maybe 50 yards down the street or whatever the case may be. And as I was looking out, I was thinking, as I so often do, that's how God sees the world. That's how God sees our lives. We can only see the limited view around us. We don't always know what's going on because we don't see the big picture. But God, He knows and sees the big picture. And I was thinking of a few verses in Psalm 139, and it tells us, "For you created my inmost being." That's in reference to God, of course. "You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well. My frame was not hidden from you when I was made in the secret place. When I was woven together in the depths of the earth, your eyes saw my unformed body. All the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be." That's the big picture, isn't it? Whatever we're going through, we might have limited vision. We don't know what's around the corner. We don't know what the future holds. But as the Bible reassures us there, not only has God made us and created us and cared for us, but all the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be. He knows the beginning, He knows the end, and He certainly knows everything else that goes on in between as far as our lives are concerned. And that's why we can trust Him.
The song that we're going to sing is "I Am So Glad That Jesus Loves Me." And the first verse mentions wonderful things in the Bible I see. And as Stuart just said, that was a wonderful thing that he read to us. There's plenty more in there, but the dearest thing in the Bible is that Jesus loves me. That's what it tells us.
I love that hymn. And while still on the football theme, I was in Northern Ireland a couple or so years ago, Champions League game against Linfield, and we happened to be there at the time of the parades, July the 12th, and I always wanted to see one of those parades, and Belfast is the place to go. And at the head of it, before all the marching bands came through, there was one of the churches from Belfast. And as they made their way at the head of the parade, they were playing that song, "I Am So Glad That Jesus Loves Me." It's a children's song, and it's something that Sunday school children many years ago would be familiar with. But as far as I'm concerned, it's more than just a song for children. It's a song for all of us. It's a powerful message that Jesus loves me. Anyway, staying with the football theme again, because when I was in Budapest, we played Ferencváros in the Champions League. Once the game had finished, I'd done my post-match interviews, the players were still in the dressing room, and we were ready to get onto the bus to make our way to the airport. I went out, a lot of the fans had disappeared by then, but there was a man with his young son, Hungarian couple there, a man and his son, and they were waiting for players to come out for autographs. They'd got the programme, and there was a delay as far as we were concerned. So I did say to them, I'm not sure you're going to be able to get any autographs. I went across and started talking to them. I said, because we do have to get away very, very quickly. And after the conversation, I went into the dressing room, and as always at games, we have those, which are the passes and the lanyards as well. Quite nice, the ones from Hungary there. Sometimes they're just plain. That's got the name of the stadium on there. And I went into the dressing room. That's mine, by the way. And I went in and said to the players, because they were still waiting for some technicality to be sorted, and I said, does anyone not want their passes? Because there's a young lad outside, he's after autographs, he's not going to be able to get them due to the time schedule. But if anyone does have a pass they don't want, I'll pass them on to him. And 3 of the players gave them to me immediately. So I went outside and gave them to the young lad. And if I could capture his emotions at that time, it was fantastic. His eyes lit up and a massive smile beamed across his face, bearing in mind that I can't speak a word of Hungarian, and the boy and his dad were okay as far as English is concerned. They're much better than my Hungarian. I don't speak a single word. But the smile that came on his face, and his dad as well, and his dad shook my hand, and the lad shook my hand and thanked me so much for what I'd done. And I was thinking about the verse that, again, I want to read from the Bible. And funnily enough, it was my verse for today, as I'm speaking now, in the daily devotion that I do online. And it's from Matthew chapter 15 and verse 16. In the same way, let your light shine before men, that they may see your good deeds and praise your Father in heaven. Now, as far as it comes to good deeds, they will never save us. I could give out 1,000 items of football memorabilia to 1,000 different young people. But as far as my salvation's concerned, that will not take me one step closer to God. Salvation comes from faith in God, putting our trust in God, repenting of who we are, and acknowledging that Jesus died on that cross to save us. That's the message of the gospel. So good works will not save us. However, good works are an indication that we are saved. And there would have been a time in my life when I wouldn't have even thought about doing something like that for someone else. But when God comes into your heart in a real way, you do find that you change. You do find that you start to think about other people rather than just yourself. And I'll never forget the times that I've done stuff like that, and the smiles and the thank yous that people have given back. Not that I want those things, of course, and I don't do it for me. I'm sure you can understand from the context in which I'm talking. I do it because it's great. It's nice to make a difference, a positive difference in someone else's life. As a Christian, you want your good works to shine, but not that the glory might be reflected back to you, but rather to God. And in my case, I look back over my life. I've been a Christian for years, decades now in fact. And I've changed so much from before I made that decision to follow Christ. My life has been turned upside down, but for the better. But as I look at my life now, I realise that I still have a long way to go. I'm a work in progress, but the good works along the way are evidences, demonstrations of the fact that yes, I've got a long way to go, but I've also come a long way as well. Good works will never save us, but they are an indication that we are saved. And making a difference in other people's life is a big positive that all of us can do.
In this assurance I find sweet rest, trusting in Jesus I know I am blessed. Satan dismayed from my soul hath now fled, when I just tell him that Jesus loves me. I am so glad that Jesus loves me. Jesus loves me. Jesus loves me. I am so glad that Jesus loves me. Jesus loves even me. Oh, if there's only one song I can sing, when in His beauty I see the great King, this shall my song in eternity be. Oh, what a wonder that Jesus loves me. I am so glad that Jesus loves me. Jesus loves me. Jesus loves me. I am so glad that Jesus loves me. Jesus loves even me. The line that stands out to that song to me is Jesus loves even me. And there's times probably we all don't love ourselves or like ourselves, and there's maybe people out there who think they're too bad for Jesus to love them, but the answer is in the Bible, Jesus loves even me. Jesus loves all of us the same. That's something lovely to think about as we go into the next week. It's lovely to have you with us, and we do hope you come and join us again next week, and hope you all have a blessed week.